Howdy folks, Nathan here coming at you from Southern California. In my backyard. It's a controlled environment that I needed for these two who are part of the video with this, my 1997 Ford Expedition. And a lot of you guys have been asking about this truck. It's interesting, I didn't realize that it was that interesting to you guys. You wanted to know what happened to it, if I've sold it, and whether or not you guys, hey, both of you sit. I'll introduce them in a minute. And we used this in a recent video series where this vehicle went up against a Toyota Land Cruiser and a old Chevy Tahoe. And this should have won. In fact, many of you agree that it should have won, this being my truck. And I bought this from TFL Studios about a month before we moved to California. Now, why are we in California? Well, because TFL Studios is opening up a Southern California branch, which starts with me. Believe it or not, this is actually ground zero for that. A little mini studio over there, and there's going to be a few other things happening around here. We're just starting to shoot videos here, so it's all happening right now. But I wanted to get back to the truck and to these two because they're the reason this is called the Dogmobile. I'll tell you a quick story before we get going with these guys. We moved here, we had to live in an apartment before we actually got our house because, well, we didn't want to grab a house sight unseen. It takes a while to go through the process, and it took us a month. So, while living in a hotel, we turned this vehicle from a hauler into a Dogmobile. Now, I will tell you everything that's happened with this vehicle in just a moment, but first, I wanted to show you something with you. Oh, by the way, Wanda, come here. This is Wanda. Wanda, sit. And this is Opie. Opie, sit. And both of them are my dogs. You've seen other dogs that belong to TFL personnel. Frankie, my favorite, and of course, Blaze. But these are mine. So, Opie and Wanda. And Opie and Wanda are going to demonstrate exactly what this vehicle is meant to do. All right, guys. You see, when we moved here, we had to go to a dog park, and we found an amazing one. Inside, go on. There, good puppies. And that dog park is Redondo Beach Dog Park. You go your num-nums. And I had to convert this vehicle from being a hauler, which meant I put a bunch of hard materials in here in order to put furniture in and stuff like that, to soft materials like this very chewed up doggy towel that they've been using. And they totally just get in and it becomes theirs. They chill out and we go driving. This thing is great for moving dogs. I mean, it really is. They love it. Or at least I think they love it. They like it better than Mom's Mazda. I can guarantee that. Plus, I mean, they're both shedding because we're in California. And so if it gets all over this blanket towel thing here, I can just take it out, put another one in, no problem. And it also prevents it from smelling like dog by pulling this out routinely and replacing it with something else. Okay, come on guys, we're done. Yeah, come on. Opie, I know, come on. Okay, so what's been going on with the big Ford? Well, this vehicle was used to take my entire family from Colorado to California. Now, doing so, I had to turn it into a tow vehicle. So, one of the very few modifications I made to it was I replaced the wiring and the defunct / broken trailer brake controller with a brand new one. This one has the 4-pin here, 7-pin right there, and in preparation for a big trailer that I was going to tow from Colorado to California, I changed around hitch setup and installed a relatively cheap but effective trailer brake controller right here. Put it over here where Andre says is the best place because Andre knows best. And yeah, that was the main thing I did to the vehicle. And at the end of this video, I'll tell you a story about what happened with that trailer, because it's actually quite harrowing and it's a lesson to you. Here's the other modification I made, and I'm very proud of this. Worst cup holders ever invented. Yes, thank you, Ford. These things can't even hold a can of soda without tipping over. So I put this in. This is really glued in there. I used JB Weld and I put this cup holder in there. You're able to move it out of the way so you have access to the air conditioning vent. But this is not going anywhere, and this will no longer retract. But I'm a coffee drinker, so I want to have a big place for a big old cup of coffee right there. So that's like the only other modification. Oh, I bought this too. These are really cool. You can extend these things, and you have a lightning plug, and you have a USB-C here. And for older vehicles, this is actually really useful. I've been using it every day, connected to this. And that's about it. I did have to make some repairs or some wires that came loose that some soldering iron and black tape took care of. It's only about an hour's worth of work, and that's about it. Big old 5.4 liter V8 has been chugging along. There haven't been that many problems with it. In fact, none mechanically. Which brings me towards the end of this story. Isn't that right, Opie? All right, so allow me to explain. This is the culprit. Front brakes had a major problem, but it wasn't the truck's fault, not really. What happened was I rented a trailer from a very popular trailer/truck rental company. You may know who they are because they haul a lot. It's really bad, I know. So I went to this company, I got their largest trailer, which is a 16-foot trailer, and it has a surge brake system for the trailer. To quickly explain, a surge brake essentially is in the trailer tongue section of the actual trailer itself. There's two pieces of metal that are moving, and they work sort of like a brake. So when pressure is being applied, there is a sort of like a master cylinder that actually applies brakes towards the rear wheels of the trailer, meaning that if you apply brakes on the truck, it squeezes with those two pieces of metal going against each other, and then there's a cylinder that is depressed, and boom, 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 the brakes activate. That's what's supposed to happen. I've used them before. A lot of people who have boat trailers have them. Andre used to have a boat trailer with it before he converted it to a regular brake system. This one didn't work, right? Now, I did have it really loaded. This thing had roof racks on top, loaded with stuff, loaded with cargo inside. These two guys were inside of it. And then in the back, of course, the trailer, which I think starts around 1,200 pounds, but I had it completely loaded, solid. So I'm probably thinking around between 4,000 and 5,000 pounds altogether. No challenge for the engine, not at all. Transmission engine, absolutely cool as a cucumber. But as I was heading down the hill on the other side of the pass, which is already treacherous to begin with, I began to notice front brakes really felt like they were heating up and working really hard. As we made our way to St. George, which is the halfway point for us, sort of, between Colorado and California, I began to notice that the brakes were making some funny noises, and the vehicle itself just did not seem happy slowing down. It just was pulling, it was making noises, it was heating very quickly. So finally I get to California, got rid of the trailer, made it to a house, took it to a brakes place, and they showed me the front brakes were destroyed. Now, I checked them before I left Colorado, and they were in decent shape. I had replaced the brakes, the discs. Fortunately, the calipers were still working, but they were partially seized in some spots. They were glazed over. They were cracked. Essentially, this truck had to do the braking for not only its overloaded self, but that overloaded trailer as well. Important lesson about having really good brakes and also making sure that the surge brake controller on the trailer that you rent or borrow is working. And, which I forgot to add to the very end of this story, it wasn't. I checked. And even unladen, when I was slamming on the brakes, that trailer just didn't care, didn't do anything. So, yeah, it was unfortunate for this thing to have to go through that, but it did it. And it got my family here safely, got the Poochies here safely. And thanks, guys, for checking in. I know you were curious about this truck, and most likely I'm going to hold on to it, I don't know, maybe a year or so. Really, the biggest problem is, and it's very comfortable to drive. It now stops better because I spend a lot of money fixing the front brakes. But yeah, it gets at best 16 miles per gallon combined at best. This is one of the most expensive states in the United States for gasoline. So that makes it a little bit difficult to use this as a commuter. Anyway, guys, thanks again for asking me about this. Come on, Poochies, you want to say goodbye to everybody? You guys want to say goodbye? You might see them in another video or two. Yeah, that's right, Opie and Wanda. All right, guys, thanks. Aloha from California. I'll see you next time.